I think there is not a single adult on our planet who has never tasted coffee in his life. And I must say, there are certain disputes around coffee. Some researchers say that coffee is an extremely undesirable drink, it causes addiction, increases blood pressure, and harms health, and so on. Other studies say on the contrary, that coffee improves the condition of our body, and even prolongs life. And how to figure it all out? I must say that coffee is really not such a simple product as, for example, carrots, from which there is practically only benefit. And coffee has certain pros and cons. But what happens if you drink coffee every day? What effect can this have on our body? The effect will be extremely interesting, and not always unambiguous, so watch the video to the end, we will figure it out. And it will be interesting. So let's go. By the way, friends, be sure to subscribe to my channel, and click on the bell too, do not miss my new products. So, point number 1 is our cardiovascular system. Here everything is ambiguous. If we drink coffee regularly, in some cases, it can cause an increase in blood pressure. And in some other cases, do not call in any way. It all depends on our individual tolerance. Studies show that indeed some people have blood pressure increases from coffee, and some do not at all. In principle, this thing is quite easy to measure. I personally conducted such an experiment myself. The pressure is measured at rest, using a home tonometer, then a cup of fairly strong coffee is drunk, and after an hour and a half, we measure the pressure again. Personally, I have not experienced any increase in blood pressure, but there are people who have it. And of course, to be in a state when our upper systolic pressure is 131 or higher. It is already in a state of actually hypertension, and this is harmful and extremely undesirable. Therefore, if coffee causes you such an effect, then you should drink it regularly, and a lot is not recommended. If it does not cause, then there is no problem. It just needs to be researched and understood in your particular case. Let's move on. The next effect is the effect on our nervous system. Yes, generally speaking, caffeine is probably one of the most powerful authorized stimulants of the central nervous system. The central nervous system. It's really addictive. He really has withdrawal syndrome, that is, withdrawal syndrome. This is when we used a lot of caffeine, 500 milligrams every day, and then abruptly refused, we really will have such, well, a slight withdrawal. Caffeine can really increase our concentration, that's a fact. It can increase our performance, help us cope with sleep, if we are, for example, a night trucker, or we are preparing for a session. It can really improve our cognitive abilities, increase our endurance, and so on. But then again, there's a downside to all of this. Because whenever we stimulate our nervous system, we, figuratively speaking, borrow from it. Because the debt will have to be repaid later. After all, our nervous system has a limited amount of energy, and from the fact that we threw a stimulant into it, there was no more energy, no, we just released it temporarily from the internal reserves of our cells, increased our efficiency. And then there will come a certain rollback, and, figuratively speaking, a reckoning. For example, studies have shown that our nerve cells have a certain reserve of about 20% of the voltage that they hold, which they do not use in normal life. 20% of this resource can be obtained with the help of certain substances. Well, for example, a good dose of caffeine. So there are pros and cons, depending on how you use it. If you drink coffee in the morning, it helps you wake up, cheer up, then you have a lot of things to do during the day. And sleep well at night, then everything is great. But there is another situation when a person drinks 5 cups of coffee a day, he is already all on nerves, he has an increased pulse. He sleeps very poorly at night, and does not even guess why. And a large excess of caffeine can very well undermine the quality of our sleep, he can become irritated. And that's such a person indeed, coffee should be limited. In fact, it is also an interesting fact. It has been experimentally proven that in 80% of people, caffeine increases performance. And of the remaining 20%, in some people, caffeine does not cause any effect, and in another part, on the contrary, it causes a calming effect. That is, oddly enough, about 5 to 10% of people, drinking a cup of coffee, on the contrary, can safely fall asleep. It will even serve them as a light sleeping pill. It's amazing, but yes, that's how different we are. That's why everything is so ambiguous with coffee. Let's move on. The next point is the effect of coffee on our gastrointestinal tract. Here I must say, the impact is not very good. Drinking coffee significantly increases the production of our gastric juice. Therefore, if we periodically suffer from heartburn, if we have gastritis, God forbid another stomach ulcer, if we have reflux esophagus, generally speaking, stomach pains and heartburn, then in such cases, of course, coffee should be limited. Well as caffeine in general. Especially for such people, it is not recommended to drink coffee in the morning on an empty stomach. And it is not recommended to drink a hearty meal immediately with coffee. It's much better if we drink coffee 2 hours after breakfast. Although again, some people have no problems in this regard, and coffee does not cause any heartburn. Everything is individual again, but it's better to know these nuances in order to understand how it can be applied directly to yourself. Let's move on. The next item is coffee and oncology. There were whole battles going on here. A very large number of researchers have asked about coffee. It causes cancer, or on the contrary prevents it, or does not affect it in any way. And hundreds of studies have been conducted, a huge amount. And some studies said that it causes, others said that it prevents. It was extremely difficult to understand all of this, but subsequently, a rather impressive meta-analysis was conducted. Meta-analysis is a study of research, that is, when scientists take a large number of different studies and examine everything that is known and compare all these data in order to put together some kind of holistic overall picture from all this array of information. So, a meta-analysis showed that in most studies, coffee still prevented cancer more often than it caused it. Therefore, most likely it turns out to drink coffee, but a little will be useful. There are also studies on life extension. There is reason to believe that drinking coffee also increases life expectancy. Although I must say that in this regard, not everything is clear yet. Again, there are conflicting data, but meta-analysis shows that there is still more data in favor of prolonging life than vice versa. Again, it is very important to say about the dosage. If we drink coffee, then it is necessary to adhere to moderate dosages of caffeine. What is moderate is up to 250 milligrams per day. And what is 250 milligrams? That's about 2 cups of medium-strength coffee. Of course, again, you can make coffee in different ways. It can be very rich and very thin. These are such average indicators. Plus, the duration of coffee brewing also greatly affects how much caffeine there will be in the final product. It's all pretty average and tentative, because with the use of more than 250 milligrams per day, most people are already starting to get a certain side effect. It can be the stomach, it can be nervous overexcitation, it can be cardiovascular, it can be both from the liver, kidneys, thyroid, immune system, and other tissues and organs, but up to 250 milligrams usually does not cause side effects. But I must say, recently the supply meets the demand, and there are products such as decaffeinated coffee. And I must say, this is such a find for those who do not want to consume too much caffeine. Moreover, decaffeinated tea is now even being sold with might and main. Thus, as a result, it turns out that each person's reaction to coffee is very individual. And someone's stomach may get sick from coffee, blood pressure may rise, immunity will sink, and the brain will get overexcited. But for someone none of this will happen, and he will only feel a surge of strength, and will live even longer. So here it is necessary to listen to our body. Follow the moderate dosages that I have mentioned, and everything will be fine. By the way, friends, how do you drink coffee? Do you like this drink? Maybe you are quite a coffee lover. Tell us about your thoughts and experiences in the comments, it will be interesting. And now I highly recommend you to watch my other video, where I talk about what will happen to our body if we drink green tea regularly. And by the way, there is a very great benefit and amazing effects hidden in it. The link to the video you just appeared on the screen, and I also left the link in the description, and fixed it in the upper comment. By all means look at it. And if you like this video, then like and subscribe to my channel. And we'll see you on that very video about green tea. See you later.